Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Euroforum UG, connecting with peers. Welcome to yet another transformative session on the parenting pathways, a show we have that is hosted by Euroforum UG, a platform that is connecting peers from all over the globe. We talk about different matters. We talk about parenting in all aspects, in all dimensions. That is the emotional part of it, character development, morals, and the psychological part of it. Today we have today's episode takes us into the most delicate and yet essential territory of parenting, and that is nurturing children through grief, loss, and legacy of those who came before us. As parents, caregivers, mothers, and mentors, we often struggle to find better ways and a better time to talk to children about such things like grief, loss, and legacy. We lack the best words to use when talking to these children, when they are into that moment of loss. We lack the best timing and also the best approach to use when talking to children, and yet it is important as it helps us nurture their to nurture them in terms of confidence, and also to nurture them in terms of resilience. So as parents, we felt it, and mentors, we felt it so important to come talk about this yet interesting topic, and yet so touching, and it needs a lot of attention because so many children are suffering trauma just because we lacked better ways of taking them through loss. For example, when they lost loved ones, family members, or those people, even those people they didn't see, their ancestors, they feel that connection, but are lacking a better explanation as to why these people are not here today. So in today's segment, I'm joined by an experienced lady, and this is none other than Sumaiya, Nasari Sumaiya. She's a clinical psychiatrist, so passionate about matters of psychology and also matters of nurturing children. Sumaiya, you're welcome to the Euroforum platform. Kindly greet our viewers before we dive into our interesting topic.
Thank you very much, Coach Janet. It's a blessing to be here. Hello, guys. It's an opportunity to come, and it's always a privilege to teach and to learn from other people. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Sumaiya, for that, for greeting our viewers. Dear viewers, as I told you, this segment is taking us into a heartfelt journey where we are having real inspired stories. We are having some essential questions on what's really going on in the lives of our children, and those answers that you've been lacking for long that are going to help you nurture these children in the line of resilience. Today we are talking about this interesting topic, and that is loss, grief, loss, and legacy. Nurturing children, grief, loss, and legacy, guiding children through the invisible threads of love and loss. How are we guiding our children? Sumaiya, I have this interesting scenario. There is this little girl. She was 7 years. She they had a photo, a framed photo of her grandmom in their house. It was placed somewhere in a certain room. So this little girl could always go near this frame, look at the photo, and maybe a number of thoughts were running through her mind. The mother used to witness this. She used to see the daughter looking at the photo. Maybe she knew this daughter had some questions inside, though she wouldn't ask the mom what was really going on. So she was having those silent questions. So when the mom saw it, she just ignored it and maybe let it pass because maybe she lacked a better explanation because the grandma is no longer here. She's the one in the photo. And maybe this girl feels the connection, but has questions on where did she go? Why isn't she here with us today? So, Smaya, why is it important to talk to these children about grief, loss, especially when it involves ancestors that they never met? Because I would presume that maybe because they never met them, we have no need of maybe talking about them. Why do you think it's important to talk about these people that we lost, that our children did not see? Hello, Smaya. Yeah, I think it's a network. But as we wait for Smaya to come, I was throwing some light on these young souls who always have those silent questions in their minds. They are seeing pictures, maybe in the albums, maybe on the walls, well framed, because some people put up photos, however much some people don't. So they have those silent questions. They have that admiration. Smaya, before you went on, I'm glad you're back. I was asking, why is it important for us to talk to these children about those people that they didn't see? Because we would. Smaya, did you get my question?
A bit, but I'm back. I think the network
Yes,
has
please.
a bit.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Hello, Smaya. Yeah, I think we lost Smaya. She has network issues. So I was still saying that as parents, we feel these children, they have that connection to their ancestors, however much they didn't see them. For example, today when you're talking about yourself, for example, in some cultures, like here in Buganda, there is what we call lineage. You will start introducing yourself, Janatia Nagolola, daughter of so and so, who is lying at maybe Butambala, granddaughter to so and so, so you will explain, you will give a lineage of your grandparents, maybe four of them, but you might find that this person even never saw any of the grandparents, but you feel that attachment. So, Smaya, I'm glad you're back. Why do you feel it's
Thank you.
important for us? Yeah, why do you feel it's important for us to talk to our children about these people that they even didn't see? To talk about the loss of
Mm,
these people, the grief, most especially those that they've never met. Why is it even important?
Thank you, Janet, for that question. Most times we think children are very innocent and they don't understand things. But one
Mm,
of the most
we lost Smaya again. It's she has network issues. Yeah. She has network issues. So I was saying, as you introduce yourself, you'll even talk about like 4 or 5 of your grandfathers that you even didn't see. So and so, a granddaughter to so and so, a granddaughter to so and so, they were buried in such and such a place. So in Uganda we call it okutambula mungo Muganda. So it means we have that attachment and that connection to these people. So why is it important to talk
Yes.
to our children about these people, about the loss and grief? Yeah, loss and grief of people, especially those whom they didn't see.
Okay. Like I was saying, children are really curious beings, and they observe more than we think. So grief is not just about someone that recently was lost. It also includes the historical and ancestral losses that shaped the family dynamics and traditions. If you look at your families, there are families that say that ewaffe fetuli oba fetuli bayizi oba ffe tuli bakuumi ba kabaka oba ffe tuli like oba ffe tuli bambejja. It came from ancestral, those are ancestral lineages, you know. So the ancestors, all our ancestral lineages, shaped or shape the dynamics and the traditions of our families. So talking to children about such grief helps to normalize emotions like sadness, confusion, or even anger. When children are informed gently and truthfully, they begin to understand the importance of legacy, of resilience, and connection. It
Mm,
also has emotional literacy. Children learn to name and process difficult emotions rather than
mm,
suppressing them. So,
mm,
when keep these conversations open, children grow up with a deeper understanding of their roots, identity, and emotional health. So, like you've said, nze nasali sumaya muwala wa eh? jjajja wange ye mugema akulira ekika ye mugema bwe bityo. It's more like those are family dynamics. They are family lineages that attach to a child. Like if I'm the child, I get to attach importance, and I get to have a deeper understanding of my roots, and then it connects me emotionally to my ancestors. So it's really
mm,
important that we talk to our children for them to even have a deeper understanding of where they're coming from. So it's really
mm.
important. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. In fact, when you talk about that, uh, Sumaya, I can relate. Recently, we organized a parenting symposium. It has just passed recently, and there was a girl sharing a story. She was a youth, and she was
Mm.
like, she lost, by the time she came to understand, she never saw her mom, but she didn't know that her mom was not around because she grew up with the dad and the grandmom and the stepmom. So it was only when they went to the village when she was about 7 years that someone told her that you tell your daddy to show you where your mom was buried. So she developed that confusion. And after being confused, she went ahead and talked to the dad. They told me such and such a thing. Where was my mom buried? And who is even my mom? Is my mom even dead? So the dad just suppressed her away. He told her never talk about that again. Are you lacking anything in your life even? So this is a girl who is now older. She's like in her late 20s, but she is still carrying this trauma. She is still talking about this. And from then onwards, the dad never took time to explain to her with the whereabouts of the mom, the death of the mom. So she's still carrying the trauma up to now to such an extent that they are even at loggerheads with the dad. They no longer talk. So when you say it helps these children go through the grief process, it means this girl didn't go through the process. So I can relate with you when you say that. It helps us, it helps them go digest the grief, the pain, the loss.
Mm,
Yeah, I
mm,
understand. So,
yeah.
Smile, there is this other young boy. He lost a grandpa recently, and when they were on that funeral ceremony, but on the burial of the grandpa, when he looked at him in the casket, he started asking questions. Is grandpa sleeping? Is he coming back? And when is he
Mm,
coming back? So when they told him he's never going to come back, he smashed his toy that he was holding and burst. He was like, I want him to come back. I want him. So it means he failed to digest the emotions because it was so fast. It was not expected. Maybe this is not what he thought. So, how can parents explain death to children? Because it seems children don't yet, okay, they take long to digest such news or such information about death. They don't even know what it means for someone to die. You'll find maybe a daughter or a child lying besides the body of her mom, and she's like, Mom, wake up, wake up. It means they don't even know what it means. So, how can parents help explain death to children in an age appropriate manner, in a meaningful way? So I think Smaya has network issues, but as I was saying, these children, it takes them time to digest information about death, taking in the news, even understanding the mere the word death. What does it mean? And what does it encompass? And where does it end? If someone dies, what then what? So they think someone may be sleeping. Most of them think it's temporary. That's why even we've seen children who take their lives thinking that it is a temporary, maybe, solution to problems. You find a child because he has been heartbroken. These are youths or teenagers who get heartbreaks, and the solution they get immediately is taking their lives. You find someone has died by suicide, they put ropes in there, they strangle themselves. Others maybe take poison because they know that death is a temporary solution to the problems they are going through. They don't really know what death means. So that's why I was asking Sumaya to explain to us as parents, how can we really explain death to our children in an age appropriate manner, in a way that they are going to understand the aspect, and also in a way that they are going to digest it fully and in a meaningful way, and also in a way that they are going to accept it. Because there are two things: hearing the news, maybe getting the news, and also digesting the news and accepting. When they tell them someone is not coming back, how are they going to take it? Are they ready to take it in? Are they going to go through the process? So as we wait for Smaya to come back, maybe, dear viewers, you can kindly chip in, drop your reactions in the chat box. Our dear viewers over there on Facebook, on YouTube, you can drop your reactions in the chat box of what you think that can be done, of the approach that we can use to explain to our children about the news of death, about the loss of loved ones. Um, I've seen other children, when they lose loved ones, they lose control, they lose concentration. You find a child that was performing very well in class and has changed all of a sudden. Children are deteriorating. So, as teachers, it's up to you to find out what's really going on in the life of this child. You call this child and talk to them, put them at the side when no one is hearing, and ask them what exactly is going on in their lives. We've seen children whom, when you talk to, they have lost someone, not even their immediate parents, their biological parents, but someone whom you could take as distant but so dear in their hearts. A child has lost an auntie and he's so much moody. is so much maybe in thoughts because he's having those silent questions that are not answered. He's having those questions, wondering what is going to happen tomorrow, wondering when the aunt is coming back. We've seen a mother who lost a husband, and she's like, her children are ever asking her, when is daddy coming back? That's why maybe we even say that when someone dies, maybe the dad or the mom or anyone close, you take these children for burial so that they can know, so that it can help you in the explanation process. Because when they don't see the whereabouts of the person, it's also going to be something so difficult for the children to take in, and also for you to explain to them as a person. So, dear parents, which approach are we going to use to explain death to our children? Most parents take children, as Smaya said, we think children don't understand. Something happens at home, maybe someone dies, you go for burial, you go through the whole ceremonies and process, but you don't get that time to sit these children down and explain to them that maybe this is what happened. Aunt died, and she's not going to come back. She's going to be with the angels. If she did good, this is what is going to happen. We don't explain to these children. That's why we felt it important to come up with this interesting topic, and also timely, because parents have been taking it for granted. Grief, loss, and legacy. What are we explaining to our children in terms of grief? How are we helping them digest the emotions of loss of loved ones? How are we helping them carry the legacy, recognize and maybe honor the legacy of those people that they didn't see, their grandparents, because they need all this information? So, as we wait for Smaya, we shall go through another scenario. This was a young girl of 10 years later. She had this great auntie who used to sit with her on a weekly basis. It was every Friday evening. Leila used to sit beside her auntie, and they could talk about stories. She could tell her stories of their ancestors, of those people who came before her. She could tell her stories of the things she didn't see. She could tell her stories of her culture, how they things they used to do in their culture that people maybe are no longer doing today. You know those stories. If you are from the African culture, you can relate with me. For example, here in Uganda, we used to have those fire fire evening fire stories in Gero, whereby our fathers, our parents could tell us stories of long ago, stories of our ancestors. They could tell us all sorts of things that we didn't see that happened in our absence. So this is what happened to Leila. So the migration stories, because some people, where you live today is not where you were living maybe a few years back. Some people just migrated to those places. You find people are buried in a place and they're like, it's my father who started up this place. But this father must have had so many people behind him. It means they just migrated to that place. So all those stories, Laila used to hear them from her auntie. So when she used to hear the courage, that attachment in the veins, that love, that belonging, sense of belonging to the culture, to the family, to the clan, because she used to hear such stories from her auntie. So she even wrote it down in her book. So as a parent today, what role, what do you think is the role of these ancestral stories to our children? You as a parent, how do you think these ancestral stories help our children in the process of healing and also identity, identifying themselves? We've seen children today who don't know their identity. Children have a problem of identity crisis. They are in places whereby they don't really know where they belong. You find a child who doesn't even know their mother tongue. So it's from such stories that we learn all these things. It's from such stories that we get that healing from that ancestral loss, because we lost our grandpas that we didn't see. But when they tell you things about that grandfather, there is a way you feel attached to him. There is a way you feel his presence, even in his absence. So I call upon parents to always tell these ancestral stories to their children. They are not local. They are not. They are not. Yeah, they are not backward. You always you have a role of taking these children back to their roots. Let them trace their roots. Let them know about their ancestors that came before them. Let them know about their grandfathers, because if they don't know about their grandfathers, they are going to lose themselves in the process. They are not going to be able to trace their lineage and to trace their roots. They are not going to be able to carry on these stories to their children as well. They are not going to be able to heal from the trauma and wounds of the lost people that they didn't see. It's from such stories that they are going to feel relieved and also to feel healed of the pain that they would have gone through if because they didn't see these people. Um, in the chat box, you can, dear viewers on Facebook, YouTube, you can help me drop that one thing that you learned from your parents about your ancestors that is helping you move on today. What's that one thing that you picked from your parents about the people you didn't see that is helping you in your daily life today? Please drop it in the chat box so that we can move on the same pace. I shall see whether I can go through the comments. Um, we've seen another 7-year-old boy, that was Hamza. When he lost his favorite uncle, everyone told him, be strong. Hamza, you're a man, don't cry, it will be all right. So Hamza listened to each and everyone, what they were. You know those things that people tell us when we lose people, beloved ones, and they're like, don't cry, it will be fine. Don't cry yourself out. It will be fine. So this is what Hamza was being told by each and everyone when he lost his beloved uncle. So he obeyed them and he listened. But months later, he started wetting bed. Okay, he got those weird habits. He started wetting bed, uh, isolating himself from people, and he was silenced. His silence grew heavily, and he started being lonely, maybe alone in his room, not wanting to be around people. So this is what happened, that change of behavior. But remember, he had bottled that grief. He had bottled that pain. He never took it out. So when they took him to a specialist, it was then that they realized that this boy was bottling some pain that he never took out. This boy was going through something, a trauma. He had a trauma that he never let out. He had bottled emotions. So as parents, what are some of the common mistakes that adults make when helping children go through grief? And how can this be avoided? Because many children lose people, but as adults, I want us to admit that we make so many mistakes when taking these children through the process. For example, what happened to Hamza when everyone came up and told him, you should not cry, you're a man, you should be a man, men don't cry. So these are some of the mistakes that we make. We don't let these children go through the process. We don't let them, yeah, uh, we don't let them digest the emotions. Yeah, I can see Smaya is back. Smaya, I
I
had
am.
lost you. Yeah,
Yes,
you're
you heard.
welcome.
Is it
Yeah,
just my network that is disturbing, or is it just everyone?
it's your network.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay. Smaya, by the time we went off, I was
Yes.
still, I was still asking you, uh,
Yes.
why, how can parents explain death to children? Because as we said,
Mm.
Children don't understand what it means, death, what death means, and what comes maybe after death, the circumstances around death, because maybe it's not a common thing in their ears. Maybe some of them, we hide them away from the scenarios. For example, someone has died and you have to go for burial. You're like, you leave the children back home. After all, they are not going to do, there is nothing for them to do over there. So we always keep them out of the death scenarios and we don't take them through the process. So, how can parents break the news of death to children in an age appropriate way and also in a meaningful way to their lives? Smaya, did you get my question?
I sure did got the question, but still I am having issues with my network. I
Yeah.
think you I've sent you a message.
Mm,
I received it.
let me check.
Okay. I'll
Mm,
probably use the little time when I'm stable and at least I'm
mm,
able to submit something. So you
yeah.
see, Coach Janet, like we said, children are the most curious beings, and
Mm,
whether they may not understand or they may not have the right words, they usually
mm,
understand what is going on in their
mm,
own language. They understand death or
mm,
loss
mm,
in their own age groups. So when we are
mm.
and cognitive studying of the children's development,
Oh, we lost her again. Sumaya's network is not stable at all. I think we shall have some other time
coach
to,
3 to
yeah, okay.
5.
Mm. We
We
shall
can
have some other time to do this story again. Yes, Maya.
for children from age 3 to 5, for them they
Mm,
think that children see death as something that is temporary. So
mm,
we also to get down to their level and use simple language like, grandpa's
mm,
body has stopped working, or grandmother's body has stopped working, or mommy's body has stopped working, and he won't come
mm,
back.
mm,
We need to avoid things like, oh, you see, grandmother is sleeping now. Grandmother,
mm,
no, when we things like that, it creates a sense of fear for children to
mm,
sleep. So they
mm.
get to think, internalize it as every time I go to sleep, I may not be able to wake up.
To
So
come back, yeah.
it creates a kind of fear in them. Also, it's important to take
Mm,
them to the grave and tell them, you see, when someone's body has stopped working, they are put away and they never
mm,
come back.
mm.
You see how simple that is? You may not
Yeah.
necessarily use the big words that grandmother or grandpa has died, but use simple things as, when someone's body has stopped working, they put it away and they will never come back. I
Mm,
remember my husband lost a mother when he was 3 years.
mm,
And one of the things he talks profoundly about is a time when he was taken to the grave. He was 3 years
mm,
old. He remembers being taken to a grave and
mm,
being told by his father that this is where your mother is going to be
mm,
put, and they will
mm,
she will never come back. So
mm,
in his young mind,
mm,
up to today, he still remembers that, what, he still
mm,
remembered at the time they put away someone, he is dead,
mm,
they cannot come
mm,
back. Unlike
mm,
ages 6 to 9, children begin to understand death is permanent, but may
mm,
still ask if the person is coming back. Yes, they will know. Okay, if the person is dead, they are dead. It's permanent. Then it's permanent, but they'll still
mm,
be able to ask questions like, will grandpa ever come back? And it's
mm,
important that you answer honestly,
mm,
able to
mm,
tell them honestly but gently that when grandpa has gone,
mm,
he will not be able to come back.
mm,
Now, it's also different for ages 10 plus. Now, these
mm.
children have established permanency in death. They can understand the meaning of death.
I think we lost her again. It's the network. Yeah. According to what she was saying, I
Understand
see she,
the
yeah,
finality and
okay.
the spiritual and cultural meanings of.
Mm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Bananga, I don't know what has happened to me today.
It's network issues. Mm,
Yes, forgive me. And yet I
mm,
have a
sorry.
data.
Mm,
So when it comes to ages 10, we've said this is where children have mastered permanency and they know surely that when someone dies, they have
mm,
died. So it's important. You remember those stories that we were told, Tinobo,
mm,
nowhere, Rwana, omwami n'omukyala we ne babeera ewaka.
mm,
Omwana agenda
mm,
okusennya n'atakomawo. So usually
mm,
through storytelling, we
mm,
develop the memory, we keep the memory active, and
mm,
they will start to understand the meaning of death.
mm, mm,
They will start to link
yeah.
it to spiritual and cultural meanings of death. So it's
Mm,
easy for those different age groups to act accordingly in their groups. It is
mm,
important for caregivers to explain death in
mm,
age appropriately but meaningfully to these children, because once we leave them unattended to, that means that we are
mm,
going to leave very big, more like a very big gap in their lives, which needs to be
mm,
filled. If it is filled by someone who is not appropriate, that causes so much trauma for these children. So yeah,
mm,
it's important.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, thank you so much, Smaya, for bringing it down to our level and also for breaking it down age appropriately, because not so many of us knew that we can even break these news and break them down to the level of our children, to the level of their understanding. Because when you just say someone has died, not every child is going to understand what you really mean. So thank you so much. And also for taking us away from the deceit, because some people have just been deceiving these children. She will come back. You know that when certain lady, she was talking about her husband who had died, and she was telling the children that your dad is abroad. And maybe she said she was waiting for the right time, maybe when they are of the right age, so that she can break the news to them. So thanks so much for breaking it down age appropriately. Smaya, we've seen people, we've heard about our ancestors, these ancestral stories, and they have always been here. As you know, the African culture, we always hear people talking about those people that were here before us, our relatives that were here before us, that those we even didn't see. Why is it important for us to tell these stories to our children?
Wow, that's a beautiful question.
Mm,
You see, Jana, our
mm,
where we come from gives us belonging.
mm,
So our ancestral history
mm,
gives, and stories, they give children a sense of belonging and a
mm,
sense of and continuity. You see, it's you when we are told stories of jjajjaawo yalinga bw'ati, olaba naawe
mm,
byokola ne jjajjaawo oli oba ne ssengaawo oli yabikolanga. So in a
mm,
child's mind, you're creating a sense of continuity, that
mm,
there've been people before, and
mm,
there'll be to come.
mm, mm,
So they to learn that they are a part of something that is bigger than
mm,
themselves.
mm,
These often carry values such as resilience,
mm,
strength, and faith, which help
mm,
children to build an emotional endurance. You see, when
mm,
grief is to an ancestral figure, the story becomes a source of healing. For example, your great grandmother went through something hard too, just like you are now. If we are able to link our experiences now and
mm,
link the ancestral stories, it helps children to know that someone has been there before, but someone has
mm,
overcome. So that in their mind, you create a sense of strength within them that they will also overcome. We've seen
mm,
that these ancestral stories, they give a sense of pride, a sense of
mm,
continuity and belonging. So omwana wo
mm,
omugamba nti sengaawo yali awanga nnyo amagezi, ne sengaawo
mm,
yalinga kala mujjanjabi, ne sengaawo
mm,
oba ne jjajja yalinga bw'atyo. It creates a sense of pride and a sense of belonging to a child. Wow, like this is where I come from, this is where I belong. And so it creates a sense of continuity that ne mu maaso gyebiri, we're going further. So it's important because it transforms grief into
mm,
connection. And even when you say that senga we yafa yali bwati ne bwati, naye naawe
mm,
olinga ng'ekintu akikola ki akikola.
mm,
So you create a sense of connection wadde samulabako, because most of the time abaana bano babeera tebaalabako ku basenga baabwe, ku bajjajja
mm,
baabwe, but it creates a sense of connection and strength,
mm,
which is quite
mm,
important for any child to feel like they belong to a certain pride or
mm,
community, and for continuity. It's actually very important.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, this thing and loss thing in children, it's indeed so touching because
Mhm,
we are seeing innocent souls that are suffering silently, that are
mhm,
carrying the baggage that they
mhm.
can't even handle, because we see how children struggle when they lose loved ones. So, Smaya, what's the way forward?
How can we, you're asking, how can we
Mm,
uh, resolve the, I
yeah.
don't understand quite the question. Kindly
No,
help.
as parents, because it seems not every parent is in a position to do, maybe to break this news down, to do. We are seeing children who are suffering silently, and yet maybe they don't even know what's going on. We've seen, okay, like these children that missed the stage, that have grown up and are suffering with this traumatic
Mhm.
event. How are we helping them to go back into the moment?
First of all, we should not avoid that topic.
Mm,
I have seen that nga wogambye,
mm,
a child can talk to the dad, and the dad said, never talk about that again. Now,
mm,
the more you get the
mm,
distance, the more you avoid the topic, you're creating
mm,
a lot of anxiety and confusion in this little girl. Abe agenda
mm,
kwebuuza ebintu bingi, and no one
mm,
is going to be able to offer the answers. And yet,
mm,
when you sit calmly and not avoid the topic, you
mm,
create a sense of protection to the child. The child
mm,
thinks uh, they are protected. And yet, for
mm,
us human adults, we think that usually silence or
mm,
avoiding that protects the child's emotions, protects the child.
mm,
But when the child comes to you, or you see the child in isolation, that means there's
mm,
already wound and there are already questions, and that child doesn't feel protected. So it's
mm,
important that we don't avoid that topic altogether.
mm.
And also,
What about? What about when maybe, for example, when it comes to the approach? Because, for example, there is this boy that lost an uncle, and people started telling him, "You should not cry. You know, boys don't cry. You be like a man, be strong." So he
Mm.
listened to all of them and he stopped crying. But with time, they observed that he's changing behavior. In his behaviors, he started
Mm.
wetting bed, he started isolating himself, he started developing anger issues. So, how are we helping such children maybe that have developed behavior or have got those traumatic events?
Mm.
Mm,
That's quite an important. You see,
mm,
children hurt as well. So
mm,
the more we tell them, "Be a man," don't
mm,
we are forcing
mm,
them to be strong by
mm.
default. Pain is pain. It does not discriminate. It does not choose who it goes to. Everyone is
Yeah,
affected in one way or another. You see, so
yeah.
when we tell them strong, we are suppressing their emotions. We are
Mm,
subconsciously telling them that it is not safe for you to open up about how you feel, which
mm.
is quite because this child, one way or another, think of a child or think of a human being as a balloon, so
Mm,
if they
mm,
maybe from a loss, from
mm,
grief, thing, that kind of energy has to come out one way or another. So if we keep suppressing them and choking them, telling them not to open up, not to cry, not to man up, or trying to sugarcoat the whole thing, he'll be back. Don't cry. It's not a big deal. These things happen. What we are trying to do is we are trying to choke and suppress these children's emotions. And so, like any other being, the child will have to look for ways of releasing the pressure, releasing that bad energy. And this is why we see that we can see them releasing the bad energy through emotional outbursts, through alcohol and drug abuse, through sexual activities, through all these things, isolation, anger, bitterness, you know, and depression as well can occur. So it's important that we hold space for these children to be themselves, hold space for these children to express exactly how to feel. Let us show them that it is safe for them to cry by not sugarcoating the thing. Like you have said, some parents say, you know what, he went abroad, he'll be back. You're giving lethal hope to this child who is going to constantly need the presence of this person that you have given them hope they are alive, but you know for sure they are not. So in the long run, you're giving them false hope, and when it so happens that they get to find out that this person is actually normal, it is going to be very tough for them to process. It's going to throw them so far away from you, actually the parent. So it's important that we try as much as possible to talk openly about painful stories, to acknowledge the pain, to teach children that these things happen, and we can create a new we can create a better future even after a loss or grief. It's important to tell them that it is normal, but through help they can actually get over them. They can actually get over the pain, over the grief. And we should, I think, encourage our children to appreciate more of journaling and prayers in the family and therapy. It's actually very important.
Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Hello, Smaya.
Yes, Janet, I'm here.
Yes, sorry for network issues as well, but we shall pick up right from there.
Okay.
So, you were telling us how to take these children through the process.
Yes.
Those who have got those behavior issues. Yes, please.
I was saying that it's important not to avoid the topic, not to sugarcoat by lying that the parent of our guy or our went abroad and will come back. We're giving false hope to this child, not forcing the children to be strong and protecting their own unresolved grief. It's important that we hold space for them, because we know for sure that if we show these children that it's okay to grieve, we show them that someone can hold space for them, we show them that it's okay to cry, it's okay to actually miss someone, but also it is okay to have a healthier way of dealing with these things, and that comes from
So, okay. From that, it seems, for example, when you talked about not lying to children, you talked about not lying to children. Hello, Smaya. Hello. Oh, sorry, dear viewers, we are having
Welcome to
network
Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.
Yes, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. You're from UG, Connecting with Peers. We are still into the Parenting Pathways program, a program where we talk about different aspects of parenting. We talk about all aspects, that is the social, psychological, emotional, and physical aspects in parenting and in children. And today we are talking about grief, loss, and legacy in our processes. This process of pain, this process of loss, how are we mentoring them into resilience? How are we mentoring them into that session where they can stand by themselves emotionally, and also how can they be resilient children? Today in the studio, we are having a psychiatrist,
clinical psychiatrist, that is Nursery Sumaya, and she's taking us through the process of grief, loss, and legacy. How are we taking our children through all these aspects? Sumaya, if you're there, as we are still going through all this, I'm sorry my camera is off due to network issues, um, but we are still on the show. We are yet to come to an end. Sumaya, are you there? Hello. I think we lost her again. We are having network issues today. Sorry, dear viewers, but we shall soon solve such problems. Uh, as we wait for Smaya, so as I was still proceeding, I was telling you that we are going to see, this program is to help us see how we mentor resilient children who can stand by themselves emotionally, and children who know what really happens in the world of grief, loss, and legacy. Children who know their identity, and children who know their roots, who can trace their roots. Smaya, I'm glad you're back. As you were still taking us through that, you talked about something like parents lying to their children. So it seems from that, I realized that parents make some mistakes, maybe when taking children through such processes. What are some of the common mistakes that we as adults make when helping children go through grief? And how can these mistakes be avoided, Sumaya?
Okay, in short, we
Mm.
adults make mistakes by avoiding the topic. I think this I have said it already. We
Yeah,
avoid the
you
topic,
talked about that.
yes, by trying to
Mm.
that by that we think that we are trying to protect our children, and in reality this just, this silence creates the anxiety and confusion in these children. We sugarcoat. We talked about this. We say Jaja has
Yeah.
gone, they will come back, or Jaja is just sleeping, and using phrases like they've gone on a journey.
Mm.
They just create a sense of fear and misunderstandings. And children, you find a child who just doesn't want to go anywhere anymore. And the other thing is we force them to be strong. Tokaba,
Mm.
tokaba nawe, tokurala,
Yeah.
tokaba. By
Boys,
that,
men don't
boys,
cry.
boys don't cry. Boys have to be strong. And that teaches suppression and
Mm.
health emotional expressions. Instead of the emotional health expression of children, you just teach them to be to suppress on their, and subconsciously you're telling these children that it's not safe. The kind of environment that you have created is not safe for them. The last
Mm.
thing, we project our own unresolved grief on these children. you know I think
Mm.
I speak for most of us that we adults as well have very many unresolved emotions. We have so many unresolved traumas, and you see, every time
Mm.
we try to protect the child, we think we are protecting them, and instead it's
Mm.
us adults who haven't processed our losses, and instead we have shut down, to protect these children.
Mm.
And in that sense we also teach them to uh subconsciously, like, not take care of themselves, and so the spiral goes on. It's like a spiral of unresolved traumas, from you to the children. And yet we have to start holding space and teaching children that it is okay to open up.
Okay. Smaya, okay, when you talked about that trauma that we carry from us to the children, what unresolved trauma, which kind of unresolved trauma affects our children, and how can we break such trauma as families? Because it seems, from what you're saying, there is something that is coming, we are carrying from maybe our grannies, and then also carrying it to our children. What's that we are carrying to our children? What's that unresolved trauma?
First off, I think trauma is a huge topic, and I really love us one time to get into it.
Mm,
Get that time, of course. But when you think
mm,
about trauma, these are deep,
mm,
hurtful things that happened to children or happened to us when
mm,
we were children. And instead of healing, we just
mm.
went into adulthood without looking at them or without getting to heal from them. One of the
Yeah,
things, domestic violence.
yeah.
In many homes, there can be either physical or emotional
Mm, mm,
abuse. Now, when families are going through emotional or physical abuse, the child gets to see. We have said that children are very curious. They see things, they even get to feel the sense and the tone and the tension that is within the house, even without you fighting. Do you know that a
yeah,
child,
even without you telling them anything.
yes, do you know that if a child
Mm,
went to school and you parents remained home and maybe had a misunderstanding, right, and you got to
yeah,
fight about something, when the child comes back home, they may not necessarily get to hear you people fight, but the child will feel that tension in the home.
she will
That
see
is
the
how.
environment.
Exactly. So it is important that
Mm,
we resolve everything that has happened. What
mm,
domestic teach as a child is you cannot speak out, you are not valued, you are not accepted, and you see this
mm,
trauma gets to grow up. Also, absence of father. You see, fathers are
mm.
very core pillars in our homes, and so the absence of a father gets not only to affect the home or the marriage, but also affects children specifically.
Yeah,
When a child, you will see that there's always a difference between a child who has grown up with a father and a child who hasn't. There's always gaps, and there's always one of the biggest clientele that I have seen, or is a clientele that complains about the father wound. Now that is also a deep a deep topic that maybe one time we shall get to talk about. But some of those childhood traumas, those are things that grow
yeah,
up and we grow up with, and then we get to share them or to pass them on to other to our children. And yet it's important that we deal with them before we actually get to have children. So it's important we deal with these traumas, because these affect the lives of the children that they get to live.
yeah. So I can, thanks so much, Smaya, for taking us through that aspect of trauma, those traumatic events that our children are going through, that are intergenerational traumatic events that we are carrying on to our children. Uh, Time is not on our side, but as you said, some of these aspects are so broad, and maybe we shall find some other time to break them down so that we can reach the core. So time is not on our side. We shall go into our conclusive part of the show. And right away, I would like us to see how we can help our viewers who are on the show right now, because I can see, I think some of them are worried of how they are going to do to overcome all what we've been talking about. So, what are some of the strategies or coping mechanisms or tools that you can give to our viewers, Maya, tonight as we conclude the show, that they can use to process grief in health ways in our children, that they can use to help our children process grief in health ways? What are some of the tools that we can leave back to our viewers, the parents, the mentors, and the teachers on call?
Okay, thank you very much. That's a beautiful one. As we wrap up, I think one of the things we need to go back to ancestral behaviors. Remember
Sorry.
times where we used to keep memories in boxes? So we need to get back to that, encourage children to collect photos or letters or personal items that remind them of a person. Now this gives them a sense of tangible, like something tangible to hold on to, you know, like when a child lost a mother, but you have pictures of the mother, you have things that the mother used to use. It brings, or it bridges a sense of connection to them. Two, I think we need to do routine check-ins. You know, set aside time, at least monthly or quarterly, to talk about feelings openly. For example, feelings, you know, about, for example, in a week, you can say, okay, on Friday, let's just sit down and talk about what you have gone through. We sharing some of these things helps children to grow up feeling like they can be valued and they are heard and their opinions actually matter. Then three, we can create, there is creative expression. Let children draw and write stories or sing about their emotions. We in creative expressions, we can also think about art therapy, which has proven to be very, very helpful for young ones who struggle to verbalize grief. So you see, in children, not everyone is able to cry, you know, not all of them are able to actually speak of what they are going through, but art is a way of expressing themselves. Bring art therapy to children and help them to color whatever they feel. Let them color, and that is one way to, you know, to express themselves and express their grief. The other thing is, encourage spiritual and cultural rituals. Lighting a candle or saying a prayer, we talked about this previously, or visiting a grave can be a comforting gesture, and it provides closure. Like I said before, like one of the things that someone gets to remember even when they are grown, that, oh, I remember actually my dad took me to that grave and showed me where my mom rested. So it provides a sense of closure so that they don't start to look for answers from somewhere else. Also, therapy, support groups. Children may benefit from group or individual counseling, and this is especially important if their grief begins to affect their sleep, their school, or their relationships. It is important to introduce therapy early in the lives of children because it helps them to understand that they can be valued and they are actually accepted for who they are. Lastly, we need last we need to help model healthy grief. When children see adults cry or talk about the deceased love, they learn that grief is normal and manageable. Other than telling them, you don't cry, you have to be a man, you have to be strong, you don't, you know, instead of suppressing their emotions, let them see that also you as an adult, you can get to cry about what happened. You get to feel sorry. You get to have moments where you talk about the deceased with a lot of love and dignity. That way, you help this child to also manage the grief and be able to cope with the loss. So yes, those are some of the coping tools that families could use to manage loss and grief in children.
in children. In children, yeah. Thanks so much, Maya, for those tools and coping mechanisms for parents, because indeed we need them. as there is a way we suppress this side of children, and yet it is something that is so important, as it helps them in their emotional growth, development, and also resilience. So you talked about starting therapy early in children. Smaria, as we conclude, okay, one last one. What are some of the signs that could make a parent know that maybe their children need therapy? Should we just give it immediately as soon as they get the loss, or we should first look out for those signs to see whether this child has been affected? When should we start therapy?
In mainly three ways. One, I've said it's
Mm,
important for us to start therapy, especially when we see
mm,
that the grief or the loss has affected the child's sleep, school, or
mm,
relationships. They're not able to play with their own peers. Even school is affected. They are unable to sleep properly. Their academics are down. Then that is the right time to seek for therapy or put these children in support groups.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks so much, Sumaya. Yeah. Thanks so much,
you're
Sumaya, for breaking down breaking it down to our level, and also taking us in so many, for example, in academics, in
Welcome
their
to Euroforum
behaviors,
UG, where
and
we
we
address
keep on
Ugandans from
complain.
Europe, US.
Thanks so much, Sumaya, for taking us through this process, because each and everyone needed this.
you're welcome. You're welcome, Coach Janet.
Our children have been affected in so many aspects, but little did we know and grief that we also face, and also for sharing selflessly with us. And we beg that next time when we invite you over, you please come back, because I've seen so many look great for and everything in one day. So, dear viewers of Euroforum UG, thanks so much for keeping with us. Thanks so much for the patience, because as you saw, we've been having a lot of challenges via network, and via via network. So thanks so much for keeping on call. Thanks so much for Mai Nasali, a clinical psychiatrist, and we are so honored to share with you this wisdom. And from what we've seen that grief is not something we fix. It is something we talk through with love, compassion, and patience. So, by acknowledging the loss, as Maya has told us, sharing the legacy, and inviting our children into healing conversations, we plant seeds of strength that bloom across generations. We mentor our children into being resilient. We nurture that resilience within them, and it is going to help them to be children who are emotionally strong. So, as parents, as mentors, and mothers on call, even fathers, let us not shield children from pain, but rather let's equip them with the truth. Let's equip them with the faith and tools to rise from it with grace. Let's use these tools as Maya has shared with us, with our children, so that we can see that the legacy we build today becomes the foundation for tomorrow's resilience. So thanks so much for keeping behind with us. Thanks so much for being being patient with us, and thanks so much for enjoying the show. Till next time, see you then. I remain Janatia Yanagolola, your certified parenting coach on the parenting pathways, Euroforum UG. See you then. Thank you. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Welcome to Euroforum UG, where we address Ugandans from Europe, USA, Asia, Africa, Australia, and all over the globe. We share experiences, opinions, and expertise on current affairs, educative lifestyle, religion, and family matters. Follow, subscribe, and like our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at Euroforum UG. You can also join our live shows every weekend on our social media platforms. For more information, visit our social media platforms or email us at euroforumug@gmail.com or WhatsApp us on +4740 574040. Euroforum UG, communicating with peers.